Welcome to another edition of It's a Great Day at SAGU podcast. I'm your host, Rick Bowles, and our co-host is the one and only James Carnell. Our producer at the end is JB, and we've got two other guys here that we'll introduce. Well, he's just here. He's helping. I don't know that we need to introduce
technical
James.
support.
Do we need to introduce James Lex? Oh, we just
yes.
did. Yes. And, of course, John Cookman, we'll introduce him a little bit later, but he is our special guest for the podcast.
Are you special? Greetings. John, you're special.
So, James, I
think you're special.
I thought we'd kick this thing off with some jokes first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so unprepared. I don't know. I mean, should I? Could I? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Let's do this. Hey, it is good to be here. Welcome, everybody. Hey, and I just want to throw out there, we did have a brief respite from the rain, from the hot heat the other day. We had a little bit of rain, and wasn't that cool? That was very nice. I got out there dancing in the rain.
I actually missed it. I was in Colorado on vacation, so it was quite cool where I was at. So I wasn't worried about a little hot rain here.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it was nice. Okay, let's get some jokes. Now, these were submitted by, a couple of them were by our very own Dr. Dan Langston.
Really?
Dr. Langston submitted some jokes, so I can't impersonate him like Kyle can, so I'm not even going to try.
Don't do it.
But anyway, here they are. Denominations and light bulbs from Dr. Dan Langston. How many does it take to change a light bulb? First of all, for Southern Baptist, it takes 13,765,419. So, or 13,765,419. He didn't put a comma in the other one, so it kind of confused me there. But they can't decide when to change. Yeah, okay. Episcopalians, 3. 2 to hold the drinks, 1 to change the light bulb. Okay. Alcohol reference. Oh. Okay. Unitarians. It depends on what kind of light bulb you are, incandescent or fluorescent. Okay. Church of Christ, 1, as long as they think they are the only ones who can change the light bulb. Okay.
That one earns a little bit of a snicker.
Yeah, that does. And Amish, what's a light bulb? Okay, yeah. All right. Charismatics. Dude, Jesus is the light.
I like that one.
You like that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Pentecostals, 3. 2 to bind the spirit of darkness, and 1 to change light. I saw the light.
Cookman wants to laugh. He wants to laugh. He's just...
Okay. Methodist, it doesn't matter as long as you know that while you're changing it, you are loved. Okay. Assemblies of God people, it doesn't matter as long as it is fast. Speed the light, my friend. Speed the light. Oh, wow. How'd you like? What did you think? Honestly, Dr. Dan Langston, should we give him the $25 gift card?
He provided what we asked.
He did.
Yes.
He did, and there was some humor.
We've never said it. They have to be funny. We just said submit your jokes.
Submit some dad jokes, and they're there. So that got me on the kind of the religious, theme today, right? The Christian thing. I guess we are Christians, right?
So are you saying some days you're not a Christian?
No, I'm saying sometimes. Sometimes my jokes.
We get it.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
All right.
So I heard the Amish flu is going around. First you get a little horse and then a little buggy.
Oh, wow.
Okay. What do you call a book club that's been stuck on the same book for years? The church. Wow. I got a job at a wrong church one time. It was a clerical error. Okay. I went to church yard sale looking to buy a grill. Unfortunately, they only had fryers.
All right.
It's good, guys. A good one.
One more.
I got that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
My wife complains that I'm a different person in the pulpit than I am at home.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's my alter ego. I know a guy that started a fourfold ministry church.
Yes.
It's a nonprofit organization. There's fivefold for those of you who don't know spiritual things. One last joke. Had a guy come to me the other day. He complained. He goes, I came home to my wife screaming and yelling at the TV, don't go into that church. Don't go into that church, you moron. He said, I was concerned, but then I realized she was just watching our wedding video.
John, I think he's had too much
there we
caffeine
go.
this morning.
There we go.
We've got to take care of that caffeine intake.
We got a few chuckles, a few laughter.
We did.
Thank you, Dr. Dan Langston, for that inspiring humor.
We will get him a $25 gift card from somewhere.
Come on by the office.
Well, now I get to be spiritual.
Ooh.
I need to share a little bit of a book that I've enjoyed. This is a portion of a book by Pastor Robert Morris from his book Beyond Blessed. And he says the vital foundation of a life of contentment is simply understanding that no possession, no achievement, no position, and no person on this earth can fulfill the deepest longings of your heart. Only God can do that. No job, no promotion, no house or car or recognition can satisfy you. Material things are temporary, fleeting, prone to rust, decay, and deteriorate. In contrast, the things of God are eternal. 100,000 years after that new car you just got has turned to rusty powder, the souls you've impacted for the kingdom of God will still be around. Please don't misunderstand. This isn't to say that God is against you having and enjoying things. God loves to bless his children and see them satisfied, not just in the life to come, but in this life. What do you think about that, Reverend Carnell?
I love it. I love it. You know, it is, we had this conversation yesterday, I think in our office. We were just talking about our society today, how it has become so, what I call pleasure seeking. You know, it's always after stuff and things to fill every moment, every void. And there's very few opportunities anymore for contemplation, for meditation on the true spiritual things, you know, things that matters of life, of impacting people. And so, man, I love that. That's good stuff.
Well, it's something to remind yourself of, because sometimes we can get really zoned in and, you know, what's the next new car? What's the next house? You know, am I going to
When's my next raise?
Well, that's true. So
Rick did give me a raise last week, John.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He put blocks under my desk.
Whoa. I was ready for that.
You were.
So,
good job, JB.
Anyway. But I just thought this is something good to be reminded of. And you know, from time to time, I'll go, Lord, please just come on back. You know, come on back. And then I think there's a lot of people that still need to know the Lord. Yeah. And so, you know, we've got to have that balance of, hey, Lord, take me out of this world. You know, let's let the rapture happen sooner than later. Or, you know what, we still got a lot of people to impact for the kingdom. So something to think about.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, we have a special guest on the podcast. His name is John Cookman, and his official title is Director of Media Services. And, John, I gave you the questions in advance, but I'm going to throw one out at you that I think you can answer.
Uh-oh.
Tell us a little bit about who John Cookman is. Where'd you come from, and maybe how you got here.
Oh, wow.
Just give us a quick
Deep
overview of John Cookman that maybe staff and faculty don't know.
Let's see.
This is hard. This is harder than I thought.
Thanks for the questions in advance, Rick.
Yes.
You're welcome. Anytime.
You did get that email, right?
You were born somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
You know, wow, that's kind of loaded because I feel like this is a short podcast, and and that could take a while. So let me see how I can abbreviate it. Son of a preacher man.
Did not know that.
You did it?
No.
Well, now you did.
Awesome.
And so who's our audience here?
Staff
and
and
faculty.
faculty.
Okay, so the AG, I can say AG and everybody knows what that means, right? So my dad was the district superintendent for the state of North Carolina, which is a district of in the Assemblies of God. And he was in that role 2 years before I was born. I was the accident. Happy accident, as they would say, but and both of my parents are passed away now because they were just old when they had me, and I have two brothers, two sisters, but so all I knew was district work and the pastor's pastor, and I have deep roots in the Assemblies of God. The short story is that's kind of what connected me to a place like SAGU, is the AG roots. Before I got here, though, I was definitely not inside of the AG bubble per se, although I grew up in it, and again, my roots are heavily rooted in the ground in the
Wow.
AG world. So I know the culture. I understand it. It was a great, I feel like I was a great fit for the community, but more so, the community is just been a God gift to me and my family here at SAGU, and it's been an amazing journey. In between that and getting here, I've done a lot of things, and I started my graduate career in the professional basketball industry. So I played, it was kind of short-lived. I was 6-foot white boy trying to survive, and no matter how hard I worked, you can't just pick yourself up from the bleachers, after getting fouled, but so many times. And that lasted about 3 years. Came back to the States, so that was an overseas adventure. I played in Argentina. And so I'm heavily connected to the sports world, which is that's kind of a good tie-in for later, what I'm actually doing here. And I came back, did some ministry work, like very frontline ministry work. Worked with Truett Cathy of the Chick-fil-A group, and got involved in a Say No to Drugs campaign, which was actually a government campaign that he had gotten involved with. And we went to tell our story at many of the high schools around America, except that was during the day, so it was a motivational rally. But at night, we got to share our testimony and talk about Jesus, and more of an evangelistic crusade, which, if you know Truett Cathy, that family, and some of the people that he surrounded himself with, they were very evangelical in mind, and they funded almost 100% of that venture, which lasted about a year. And that was a lot of fun, but I really needed to start thinking about a career and what I was going to do. There's a lot of tie-in, so I'm skipping a lot of the backstory of how I got to it, but I went back and worked for Disney for a second time, and then got in the production world, which kind of ties in directly to where I am now. So did a lot of work for Disney. Matter of fact, we just a short little segue. We were, and it was weird, but I'm moving offices here on campus. So we kind of moved out of where we were for the last 14 years, moving over to another facility, and I have just a ton of junk in my office.
Collections.
Yes, storage unit. Office is a code word for storage unit for me. And but we were going through some things, and James found some of my old Disney pay stubs. That was quite a trip down memory lane.
Were
and
you
some
shocked
old
at how much
basketball
money he
stuff.
made back in those days?
Yeah, yeah.
So what did you do for Disney?
So little, several things. I came up through the way most people come through the system in attractions, and because I had a little bit of a production history, my middle brother is in radio, and I kind of grew up in that world and TV. I knew kind of where I wanted to be after being in the system. I wanted to get in Disney productions, and that's a fairly long waiting list. And nothing short of a miracle. I did my second time round. I got accepted into that, and a glorified coffee getter, you know, a gopher. Then just kind of worked my way up a little bit. So that propelled me in some networks to be able to leave that, kind of get in my own business world and do productions. So I've been doing productions on my own, music specifically, but then it graduated into a lot of other things in the media world since 1996, right? Well, a little bit before that, before I got married, but I got married in '96. So that was my dad used to tell me, he said, he's kind of known for this catchphrase, what's happening is not what's going on. And I've seen that to be so evident in now my 50 years of life, that you think you know what you're doing at the time, and you're trying to meet goals, you set goals, but a lot of times, especially in a spirit-led life, or in a Christ-centered type belief system where you're just trying to do what God is wanting you to do, I have found that you're not doing what you think you're doing, because you're building for the future. And so many things I thought I was doing at the time was just going to be my career. You're young and dumb, and you're pursuing the American dream or whatever. But God's got other things. He's building you and working out things that you just have no idea. And so those are all building blocks to where we have gotten today. And I'm going into my 15th year here, and that started with basically a 2-year commitment to SAGU almost 15 years ago. So never had any idea I would be here for 15 years. That wasn't the thought or the purpose in my mind. But a lot of those things that I'm skipping through that were built in me was even the Disney experience, the being a part of an organization that has such a high demand for quality and excellence, and getting production done has been and translated well here, because we've done some really cool things, and unexpected, I think. I didn't come here to build the SAGU Sports Network. There were other issues and things that we were working on, but and then I think that'll probably drop us off to your next question.
Well, you've talked a little bit about media. Most people know your role as the Director of Media Services, but I don't think everyone really understands the overarching responsibility you have for serving SAGU with that. So share a little bit about what that role is.
Okay, so let's do a little 5,000-foot view real quick, 30 seconds. SAGU is an ecosystem. It's a very complex organism. Just fancy words, I guess, for it's got multiple organs. And we're just one of the organs in this great ecosystem, and we handle, and we've changed the name. Everybody knows us as Media Services, but some years ago it's now called Media Technology and Production Services. And there's a reason behind that, because 99.9% of the universities in America, when you say media services, it exclusively talks about one thing that department does, and that is working with academic technology. We work with academic technology. We actually are a support group that helps Donnie Lutrick and that fantastic crew in academic services, but on the technology front. So that's about 20% of what we do. Then so it's kind of formed this umbrella: academic services, production, which means live production, broadcast production services, and creative production services. So we're in the business of production, and I oversee basically that umbrella of things, which is we're a service group. We support a lot of the other organisms or organs that are making SAGU such a great place and achieving all the ultimate goals, the mission. There's always that underneath layer that really makes things go. We're just one of the cogs in the wheel. But for us, it's a passion industry. I like to hammer that home. We have a great staff in the media department, and like James Lex, these guys, they could go a lot of other places, make a lot more money, and they're passionate about what we do every day, but also the vision and mission of SAGU. And it's really cool to see people dedicate their lives to the success of something like an organism like SAGU. That it's not all about the money. It is all about the bigger picture, the mission, the vision, and we get to do a lot of fun things. So it's not like work to us. We put in a lot of hours, but we're having a lot of fun.
You mentioned the SAGU Sports Network, and you had the vision to launch this. I don't know how many years ago. You'll talk about that. But what was the reason behind this? You obviously had a reason to go, we need a sports network here at SAGU. So take us back to when it started and what did it look like at that point?
Okay, good. That's really, and if in total transparency, I asked you, hey, can we come on and talk about this? Didn't really want to talk about myself, but
That's part of it.
It's
Sorry.
part of it. So
It helps our audience connect with you.
I get it. I totally get it. SAGU Sports Network. And there's a very specific reason why we're trying to do this. And Dr. Brooks, who is my direct oversight, he says this to me a lot, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. We're terrible about telling our own story and letting, but we're cheating. And this audience is very relative to our audiences. We don't talk to each other about what we do enough, and we don't really go out and try to get to know enough either. So two-sided coin. But this is an effort to educate and just promote selflessly. I add. Not selfishly, but selflessly. We know we need to get this story out, and thanks for allowing this to happen, Rick. SAGU Sports Network is a cog in the wheel of SAGU to really promote the athletic department and the great work Jesse Gotting and all the our I'd be here for a long time just talking about how wonderful our coaches are and what a great job they do day in and day out with students that need direction. I mean, that's a great story right there on its own. But that's not my story to tell. We just support that, and we want to promote that. I'm in the communications business. We use technology to do that, but we also creatively support things, and we come up with ideas. But when I got here, there was no, they were just games. You either came to the game live and saw it, or you didn't. And the technology was becoming available to consider. YouTube had been an invention maybe a couple years. Nobody, they weren't thinking about using it in a live capacity. Then YouTube turned on the live button, and then a few years later, Facebook did as well. So people were really kind of getting into this understanding of, hey, we can at least broadcast, using that term loosely, but broadcast to our constituents, our family, our friends, people that would be concerned about what we do, and I love that sound. This kind of started. There is a little bit of a backstory. We have a religious broadcasting effort that goes on. We have chapel, and when I got here, it was 4 days a week, I believe, and so we had the cameras. We had some infrastructure that we were telling our story, or at least when I got here, it was being recorded for documentation purposes, right? For the archival, people would order tapes or DVDs, and it was not being broadcast. It was just being recorded. But we had the infrastructure, and as the technology advanced, it allowed you to push your event out to people, and we created an avenue. We had to build our own server. We had to work with the IT department back then, and it was humble beginnings, but it was something that we could send out an email and say, hey, if you will log into this address, you can see chapel. So I say that, give that story, because that is the foundational infrastructure building part. At that time, I think it was Dr. Jerry Boone, who was the athletic director, and who is now Dr. Godding, who is the AD currently. He was the football coach. And, football is everything in Texas, right? So, hey, Jesse says to me, is there any way we could maybe do what you do for chapel for the football games? And let's put it out there and let people see it. We got some family and friends that'll probably watch. And I go, yeah, it's very interesting. Let me look into it, but and just kind of contemplate what it would take. Dr. Boone was all for it as well. We would be one of the first to do this concept. And I came back and I said, I see what you want, and if you want a camera and you can hook it up to a laptop, we can invent the technology for you and you can do it. I said, but if you want me to get in, then I have a broader idea that I think we can build on for years to come. And that was to do more of a entertaining type of venture.
More than just viewing a game.
Yeah, because there were some more popular schools, D1 schools they're not huge, so they're not getting on ESPN, but they had the money, and they were just showing one camera, kind of going back and forth. And I looked at that in my research, and they looked like ants, and you couldn't tell what was going on. And understand this was early on in technology in general, allowing the do-it-yourselfers to do this, right? So it wasn't like there was a high expectation for those, but I saw what Coach Godding and athletic director Boone wanted, and I don't want to really put my time into that, but we can help you develop the technology, and you guys do it as an athletic department. So I pitched this thing. We took it to the cabinet, got support, but they go, yeah, we don't have any money for it. But if you can make it happen, make it happen. And so we got the permission, and then, it has grown to where it is now. We have been able to really enhance our media students' resume and give them on-the-job training like no other. It's hard to, especially us in the Christian world, because we're always taught to be selfless and non-self-promoting and things like that. So this statement is a little hard for me because of just the way I was raised. But we are the best at what we do. We work really hard to be the best at what we do, but we are in our world. We are the SAGU Sports Network is the leader, is the forefront, and it's something that we've been able to hang our hat on and be very proud of. And it was not easy to get there, but it took a buy-in from everyone and mainly the cabinet, the president and the cabinet, to go, we permission that and go for it if you can do it. And then it became something real, as all good things here at SAGU do. When it becomes real, they will be able to figure out how to fund it. And it it's not a huge budget, but they are helping fund it. It has become an important part of the culture here at SAGU. And for me, I see things a lot differently. So it wasn't that we were streaming or broadcasting a athletic event, although that is exactly what we're doing. But the real business we were in is, from my perspective, the way we even talk about it today is our job is to make SAGU relevant in a very high marketing fashion. Athletic departments are, to me, this is my opinion, I have no data to bring to the table, but just my eye test and being in this world for 15 years now, in the university system, athletic departments are the #1 marketing engine. It's not intentional, it just happens, but they play games every day. Newspapers write about them. It is free advertisement, I guess you could say. You get, at some level, sports writers are trying to stay in business and make money, so they're looking for things. We don't even have to propagate it necessarily. Now, you do usually create a system. Your SID puts out, at least on your website, you write about it. But people are picking up those stories. They want to report on things. There's a growing industry in the NAIA, which is the league that we're in, of NAIA information. And we interact with those entities a lot. But I say that all in the context is our position in that is we just want to promote that and make SAGU, ultimately SAGU, the big ecosystem of SAGU, relevant, at least in a branding perspective, and give people a option to choose, or not an option, an awareness that we should be a potential choice for you. And so that's one thing that we know SAGU Sports Network has done beyond just, and we do want to cater to the family and friends, mom and dads that are sending their student athlete up here a long way away. They can't make it to all the games. This is a service for them. But truth be known, the analytics that we do have, 60% of our viewing audience is from the other school. Every time. So we had to develop philosophies and understandings on how, if we wanted to be truly entertaining and not just a biased media outlet for SAGU, but really win hearts and minds, we had to contemplate that and create a very entertaining product that would give the warm fuzzies to everyone. And it's been amazing. I get emails from other vice presidents, presidents of other schools that they watch. They can't come and they watch. And constantly they're like, we don't know why, but you guys are so complimentary of our players, our school, and we really appreciate that. Well, that's much better than getting email. Man, you guys are so, but like most schools, I grew up close to University of North Carolina. I was a UNC fan. If you ever listen to Woody Durham and those guys broadcast, I mean, every other team was the enemy. You hated every team that came in because of the way they called the game. And our philosophy is not that. I don't, and that wouldn't line up with who we are as Christians and believers. We want this to be an enjoyable experience for everyone and make SAGU, and not just SAGU athletics, but SAGU on the whole, a very relevant place in many capacities. So when we do what we do, just know we're not just trying to broadcast another sports event. We are trying to make relevant the bigger picture of SAGU, its mission and its vision. Hopefully we do that well. I know that we put a very interesting product compared to the pool that we swim in, for sure. we are constantly being reached out to by schools. How do you do it? How does this? And man, this is a God thing, really, to be honest with you, because it's hard to put a magic formula without it being a big budget. And this is not a big budget operation, but it looks like a big budget. Everybody thinks that we spend a lot of money. Is there a scaled down version? I go, man, if we can do it, you can do it. It just takes work. It takes people like James Lex. We just hired one of our student directors, Mindy Hodges. She graduated, and she was so good we couldn't live without her. So, we hired her to be a part of the system. James Anderson, who takes care of all of our live production and manages at such a high level. We have an incredible team. It's about the people, really, and God has assembled a great media Avengers team, right? And we're very fortunate. I am the luckiest guy in the world because most of the time when we have our team meetings, I'm the dumbest guy in the room, and I just happen to know what questions to ask because I'm so dumb. I'm at least aware of that, and it causes the questions, and then I get guys like James to give me good answers, and then we all just know what our goal is, though. And that SAGU Sports Network is just one side of many things that we do. We support 1,300 events, at least 1,300 events a year on average. And so there's a lot to do. We hire students. We do a lot of things that from the departmental level that you just don't find in other universities. And
so let's talk more. Move more.
You guys can move me. Like I will.
Okay.
Like especially because I'm
no.
passionate.
This is a very
cut
exciting.
me off.
This is what we want to. This is kind of what the program does. It kind of lets our faculty and staff know about the different departments, what we're doing, and a lot of people don't know a lot. And I didn't know a lot of this stuff. And it's very interesting to me because of my background, because of our background, in radio and that industry. Matter of fact, just a little funny note. As
you guys got great voices, man. I just don't even want to talk on this mic because
no, you sound great.
That bass resonance that both of you have, by the way, and I'm just like so intimidated. I don't want to talk on the mic.
It brings me back. Now, this was as you were talking. It brought me back in 1986. I know that makes me old, but in 1986, while I hit school here, I was working radio for KDFT here. I was morning DJ, and I talked to my owner. He was a SAGU alum, and I told him, was going to school and so forth. And I just mentioned to him one day. I said, I do a lot of the, in-house announcing at the basketball games. I said, have you ever thought about doing a live broadcast? And I just pitched the idea to him one day, and he said, yeah, we might be interested in that. Now, you got to understand, 1986, technology.
Yeah.
So he said, do you have a phone jack?
Yeah.
So he put together, where I could bring a microphone, a phone jack, and plug it in there at the Claxton. And we broadcast SAGU basketball games because really that was the only major sport.
You didn't know that, did you?
I had no idea.
1986. So SAGU Sports Network, your brain.
So you're saying it should be called the Carnell Sports Network? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, what I'm saying is that really makes me appreciate because of seeing where it's gone.
Okay.
And where you guys have taken it, because it's like, there was a vision back, like you said, of promoting the school from an alumni who owned a radio station. He had a vision of promoting our school to the DFW area. And it would actually became a really good trending thing at the time. And Kyle Bateman was my color analyst. he mimicked Dick Vitale. It was really funny to hear him do his Dick Vitale imitation. But it was a really cool thing and now to see this go where it is. My son played baseball here.
Okay.
I'm in Colorado. So now I'm getting to watch my son play baseball. And I'm like, that is so cool. I mean, where SAGU Sports Network is taking. So you guys do basketball, baseball, football. What else do you guys do currently?
Okay. So, the university system works in semesters. So the fall semester starts off with volleyball. Then we move into football fairly simultaneously. And then, so as far as we broadcast, it's usually volleyball, football, and soccer. We are very aware that basketball begins in November, and due to just personnel issues, so we're 90% supported by student workers. It's not a lot of professional, like, we are involved obviously, but not many of us on the full-time level career side are doing it. We create the game plan, and I should have mentioned that, I guess, earlier in the spiel, but 85 to 90% usually, depends on which broadcast, but somewhere in there is we are using student workers. And we're training them, and that's why I said, they get so much experience, a lot of camera work.
I love the fact that you can hire them, some of them, to work then as part of their career.
Well, that goes into the support of the administration, legislating and permissioning this to even happen, because it does take some resourcing, and it's not as easy. You can't. In a system like this, you can't just work on volunteerism. There's some HR stuff you have to cross, and so we hire every one of our students. So there's some hard money outflow. These guys are working for minimum wage. They know they're building experience, and we also paid them a little bit. But
that's a great resume.
Oh my
material,
goodness! And
right?
Yeah, and we have built alliances with big companies like Sony. We're a Sony school, so our cameras are Sony based. And we have great relationships. So they allow us to send 2 interns to them for one of the biggest in our world, in our industry. It's called NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters. There is on average, there's 120,000 people from all over the world that come to this event, and we are all these big companies set up booths. They're little cities and high end, and so Sony will take a couple of our kids every year.
Awesome.
And give them internship hours, and many of them have been offered jobs, right? But they love our kids. They just so they give MVP awards, and I think 3 of our students have won we definitely hold the record for how they try to diversify, but it's just hands down. Our kids work so hard.
So
that's great.
So this is, I mean, as you're talking, my daughter's coming to be in a DMA major next year. She's excited about everything she's seen so far at SAGU. But I'm as you're talking, I'm just thinking, man, this is I think, like we say, we don't toot our horn enough. This is something I think our faculty and staff can start talking, and when we do our recruiting efforts to talk to our students, say, man, the opportunities we have here.
Absolutely.
You don't, and especially nowadays after post-COVID, how many churches now are scrambling to get an audio media program up and running? I don't know if you guys have gotten phone calls. But
4 or 5 a week.
Yeah, because they're now going, hey, this is a needed thing, right? I mean,
absolutely.
We need these. I have pastors call me all the time on the career development side. They're asking me, do you have students? And this is such a needed area. And I think the more we understand that as faculty and staff administration, it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. Maybe we need to start sounding the trumpet a little bit more.
Absolutely. Well, that's kind of what
I think
it's
very exciting.
It's hard for us to do. I get it, and it's a little bit counter nature to our internal mechanism. But we do. We just.
But
need
you
to
are a
be
broadcaster, so let's broadcast it.
It's true. Yeah,
let's broadcast it a little more to let everybody know.
You're right. No, you're absolutely right.
But speaking of that, where can we see and hear?
Yeah, so let's say faculty and staff, we have new staff, a lot of new staff all the time. So we want to watch, let's say football's coming up, right? We got a new head coach, Coach Greg Ellis. We want to watch football games. Soccer's coming up. Yeah. How do we do that? Where do we go?
Okay, so we have multiple platforms. We are trying to make this as easy as possible for everyone, because it seems like everyone has a different favorite. We have our very own internal kind of system. It's called livestream.com. It's not internal to SAGU necessarily like it's created here, but it is where all of our archives go, but we also broadcast live there. If you are a follower on the livestream.com portal, then you will get an email every time a chapel service goes up or live. Or a sporting event goes live. That is one way. We've built a little bit of a following there. So that's a favorite of some of the older. That was our first technology that we really dove into. But the most popular is obviously YouTube. If you don't know, Google is the #1 search engine in the world, and then YouTube is number 2. So it's a great place to be and look for. Obviously, I'm sure we all use YouTube just to find information and things like that. I have a kind of a cool story about that. An accidental SAGU Sports Network follower now, but YouTube, live stream, YouTube, Facebook. So all the Facebook junkies that are trolling their feed for whatever, they will see it pop up, even if they didn't want to, as long as they follow or they're friends of friends that follow. It'll be a live window that pops up, or if you follow us, Facebook will just say, hey, SAGU Sports Network is live now. You want to watch it? And you just click on it. Let's see. This year we're going, so that's 3. This year we're getting out of live to Twitter. Twitter is kind of, we love Twitter. We use it in a social media aspect, but they've made it extremely difficult to go live video there. It's meant for short clips, so they've kind of made it hard on us. So we're not going to fight them. We're going to just use it for what they're good at, and that is, I'll get into that in a minute, but we're going into Twitch. You guys know what Twitch is. So Twitch is renownedly a gamer's platform, and gaming is taking over the world, obviously, but on Twitch. But you can do whatever you want. You can build any channel. There's no limitation to what you can put your church services on there if you want. You can do whatever you want. It is where the kids are, the prospective students are today in the Twitch world. So we've created those channels, and we will be going. There's some technology that is really, really cool on Twitch as well that we're hoping that YouTube will follow suit. We've heard some rumors. There's some new tech coming out for YouTube that is similar. I'm going to give you just an idea of how we think we're going to use this for our chapels on Twitch, which would be an alternate broadcast from the YouTube experience. YouTube, it's the standard. You look at it. It's the talking head. You see the worship band. On Twitch, they have what they call they call it squad vision. But what you do is you can send 4 independent streams, or let's just call it cameras for to make it simple.
Feeds.
Yeah, feeds. You can send like 4 cameras directly to Twitch, and they're on the same channel. And when you click into it, you will see all 4. But you can independently pick one. It will enlarge it, and you'll see the other 3 in smaller over here, but it will grab the audio from that. So what we've been working on is for our worship segment, we'll show the drums camera. We'll show the keyboard camera. We'll show the guitar camera. We'll pick something. And then all of those in our worship, technology type system, they're using in-ears. They're all mixing their own, what they hear as they play the instrument. They're all going to mix whatever instrument they play the loudest. And then you'll hear underneath everybody else. So we're going to independently take those audios and apply them to the camera that is on them. So when somebody that's really into wanting the worship side of things, they'll be able to say, oh man, there's that drummer. They click on the drummer. Now they hear his mix. And, they hear the drums a little clearer than in a standard mix, or the guitar player or whatever. So those are some really cool, future tech things that we're doing to try to make and tell our story, make things a little more. SAGU worship is also under my purview, and Meredith and Nathan Jones are just doing it. I mean, if you've been here for a few years, you saw last year the growth was exponential, and we don't want to stop that momentum. So we're on a technology front, we want to enhance that. So we're coming up with these ideas, and if the tech's there to support it, it's going to be a really cool kind of concept that prospective students that are really trying to get into the worship side of things here at SAGU can see and identify with.
Let me plug something
Okay.
since he's talking about the Joneses. Thursday night, Homecoming is our alumni worship collective,
Yes.
which is a big word for basically what?
It's a worship concert that we have come up brainchild with Nathan and Meredith and Rick and I of bringing back previous worship leaders from the years gone by, and trying to create a sense of nostalgia with our alumni to say, hey, wow, Clayton led worship when I was here, or Kendrick led worship when I was here. Christy Starling led worship when I was here. And we're going to put together a mix, if you will, concert that's going to combine all of them. I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it.
I also want to say thanks to Beverly Robinson for really kind of bringing this as an idea phase. It's always been on her heart. She's been talking about this for years, and she's very passionate about alumni, and of course that's kind of her job to career the future alumni, right?
Yeah.
And we have some. We're very proud of the, especially the people that are coming in. It's she kind of got the ball rolling, and I was so happy to hear people on this campus just really got the vision, and they want to see it grow, and there's just a renewed excitement that's going on the campus right now.
Oh, Beverly! Now Beverly has some ideas that, she's one of the ideas we were talking about at that meeting initially was a worship concert recording, which is a much bigger,
absolutely,
much bigger project than we had time to put together for this homecoming.
One day,
This is a good start.
It's a great
It's a good start.
It's a
And
great start.
I mean, it's just one way again to highlight our media services, technology and everything that we're doing. I think it's good promotion for future students, recruitment at the same time.
It really is.
We need more, and like you alluded to, or you didn't allude to it, you said it. Churches need more. I hope we can program a little better in our academia. So we're not an academic service. We are a professional service here on campus, but we work with the kids in the academics.
Yeah.
And that is, we get calls all the time, we just we can't refer enough.
Well,
exactly. Yeah.
There are so many stories within SAGU. There's this department that does this. And that's why I wanted to start this podcast, because I hear all the time, staff, faculty, I had no idea that this was going on at SAGU, really?
Yeah.
And, we send out a lot of emails and things like that, and sometimes we open it and go, okay, great, and delete it. And this is just another way to be able to share the stories. And so you've done a great job in sharing Media Services SAGU Sports Network. Before we move on, is there anything we missed? Anything that?
No, I thank you so much for having the vision to do this podcast. Number one, because it is enlightening. It gives us opportunity to tell the story, kind of permission to toot the horn, right?
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, sure.
And you get to hear some great dad jokes. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on,
You
John.
don't have
Come
to
on,
agree
come
with
on,
that.
come on. Yeah.
I'm with you, man. You're the dad joke guy.
Hey. And you forgot to mention, part of this Fun Faithful family, some of the things we don't know about other staff and departments. Rick buys free lunch for everybody on the
Fridays?
first Mondays of the month.
I did not know that.
Anybody that wants to come by the office to
I
take you
missed
out to lunch.
I missed my
You didn't know?
first Monday. Could that be applied to
I just love the
second
idea,
Friday?
or actually the fact that I can work with JB over here in editing things out.
There you
so
go.
there you go.
Okay.
Well, we need to we're having a lot of fun, but we need to end it because everybody doesn't have 3 hours to listen to this. So just a few announcements.
Yes.
A good number of student athletes are already on campus. Our RAs are here as well as the Stuco leaders. So it's time again to welcome back students. This is a good time of the year.
Yeah.
You know, my first year here, the summer was crazy. I'm like, it's so dead here. You know, of course, you get to take a few vacations, things like that. So it's always exciting. I think staff, faculty get really pumped up at this
And we
time
have
of
our,
the year.
we want to invite all the staff and faculty to our Mugged event, which is our big first all-campus kickoff event.
Is that politically correct?
Mugged. Yes, well, because it's referring to the
coffee mug.
the stein that we use for the root beer floats,
Oh.
mugs. You know,
See, all these years, I thought it meant something else.
students, we're
is it
mugging
a-
the students.
Is it a glass or?
It's a
Plastic.
plastic.
I thought it was a coffee
stein.
mug.
Well, we have those, but for this event, because we don't trust those students with plastic. I mean, with glass. No, it's a freebie that we give away, and it's to commemorate to kick off every year for all the students coming back on campus.
And when is that event?
It's going to be the Sunday night at 7 p.m. That's August 28th.
I believe so.
Am I making that correct? It's August 28th, 7 o'clock on the Gwines back patio. And it's a free event. All staff and faculty
So
are
staff
welcome.
can come?
Oh, please. We would love to have the staff and faculty
wow.
come up.
I will be there.
Yeah, it's just free root beer or whatever drink you want to pour on it. Floats that we have. We provide the ice cream. We provide the mugs. And
Awesome.
it's just a great time. Hang out. We have a photo booth there. We can just and the students always play go into the late night playing volleyball. And it's
Wow, I'm impressed that the alumni
great.
department will share their budget to let staff and faculty.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, I'm
Oh,
impressed.
staff. Yes.
Second announcement, the Fall Convocation, which really means all-employee meeting, is this Friday, August 19th from 11 a.m. to noon in the HCC auditorium. And then we get to go over to the Schaefer Caf for lunch from 12 to 1. If you have not, and we talked about this last podcast, but if you have not eaten the new food from Provider, you need to check it out. It's good. I've been told this meeting is mandatory, so Carnell, you have to be there. No excuses.
Yes.
And then lastly, classes
food.
officially start on Monday, August the 29th, with Saturation Week starting on Wednesday. So it's getting close and getting exciting. And I will say this again, as of today, our on-campus dorm, we're getting close
This
to
is
being
exciting.
full. Getting close to being full. We're
Very excited.
I believe we're opening up another floor on Savelle because we have to have it. So that's very
Wow.
exciting
Praise God.
for SAGU. So
Hey, I want to give a big shout out to this two guys here, James and John, winners of the staff and faculty cornhole competition.
Thank you.
These
I-
guys,
I forgot.
you beat us
You're-
in the championship.
Yeah, that's right.
you're
That's
not a
right.
sore loser? Wow, I'm impressed.
Man.
Dude, no.
I missed an opportunity.
That was
my bad.
Yeah, I know.
My bad,
There you
James.
go. There you go. I give you guys props.
Thank
man.
you.
Y'all did awesome.
And by the way, before we quit,
Yes.
you were talking about you were in radio. Have we
Yes.
talked about who got you started in radio?
Oh no.
That's all we have for this podcast. So remember, this is a great day, so
Like
make
the
it one.
SAGU Sports Network on Facebook.